This is the second video of the second class for social psychological perspectives on health. So in the first video, I briefly talked about social identity and how social identity is related to health. In this video, I will talk deeper in terms of what social identity is and then why we need groups. So the definition of social identity. I also mentioned the definition of social identity in the first video, but here the more detailed version. The individual knowledge that he or she belongs to certain social groups, together with some emotional and value significance to him or her of this group membership. So in more casual language, social identity is the knowledge about the fact that you belong to a group, and also social identity is the emotional and value significance you have in that group or in the group membership. Okay, so social identity refers to internalized group membership that serves to define a person's sense of who they are in a given context. So in a short version, social identity is an internalized group membership that gives a sense of who they are. So when you are asked a question like, who are you? And you may give some answers to that question. And then when your answers are related to some groups, even if you don't explicitly refer to the group you are belonging, if you use some attributes or qualities that shared by the group members, by the members of that group, then you are answering to the question of who you are using your social identity. Okay, so if you know that you are a member of a group, and then if you feel important emotionally to the group, then you have a social identity. Okay, so in contrast to social identity, personal identity is personal identity refers to a person's internalized sense of their individuality, such as reflecting their unique physical appearance. You may say you are tall, you are short, and their idiosyncratic abilities and taste. You may say, you can run first, or you can think deeply, critically, or you like Japanese cuisine or Chinese cuisine or French cuisine, or you like movies, you like comics, these kind of idiosyncratic abilities and taste are the ways you answer to the question of who you are based on your personal identity. But if you answer the question using qualities and attributes shared by members of the group, or even you may mention that you are a member of some groups, then that is social identity you are using to define yourself. And social identity and group behavior. So once categorized, individuals' personal identities do not help to predict or understand their behavior. So when people categorize themselves in terms of a group, then personal identities do not help much to predict their behavior. So let's see some example. Please imagine that there are two persons whose names are Tom and Mary. And you know that Tom is generous and Mary is mean. And Tom and Mary gave more points to the overestimator than underestimator. And you may question why. Wait a minute. Tom is generous, so I can understand that Tom gives points to the overestimator. But why does Tom give the more points to the overestimator than underestimator? He is generous, so he should be equally, he should be, he should behave fairly to both groups, right? And Mary, why does she give more points to the overestimator? Is that because she's mean? You can't really understand the behaviors of Tom and Mary if you only think about their personal identities. But if you think about their social identity, the question is super clear because they are members of the overestimator. By defining themselves as a member of the overestimator, regardless who they are as an individual, they show group behaviors or in-group favoritism because they use their social identity to guide their behavior. They give more points to their own group than their outgroup. So why was group behavior observed in minimal group studies? Was it because interdependence between group members? Or was it because they expected economic exchange after the experiment? Or was it because there was attraction between individuals within a group? And there are multiple minimal groups studies, and then they manipulated these variables. So in one condition, participants are told that so you will never meet members of your group or even the members of the other group. So the researchers effectively control the interdependence that participants may feel. But still, even though they are told that they will never meet their group members or members of the outgroup, they still show in-group favoritism. And in another experiment, participants are told that you will not have any opportunities to have economic exchanges with others. And still, participants show in-group favoritism. And then because they never have chances to meet each other, there was no uh, attraction experienced between individuals. But still, they showed in-group favoritism. So these factors did not contribute to their group behaviors, but group behavior was induced by a cognitive process of defining the self in terms of group membership. So simply thinking that they are a member of a group makes them show a group behavior. Okay. It's not because of interdependence. It's not because of economic exchanges they may have in the future. It's not because of the attraction they experienced. But just because they think that they are a member of a group, they uh, show group behaviors. So social identity is the cognitive mechanism which makes group behavior possible. Okay. And there are lots of studies showing that when we share a social identity, we are more likely to cooperate, we are more likely to show solidarity, and we are more likely to trust others of that same group. And then when we do not share a social identity, we are more likely to discriminate uh, members who do not share the social identity. And then also we are more likely to show prejudice and hatred toward those members, toward the outgroup members. Okay, so social identity is really a property that helps us to interact or help. Social identity is has a property that teaches us how we behave with our group members and outgroup members. Excuse me. So Okay, now you know that, okay, maybe social identity or group membership is important in terms of explaining how we may behave. But why social identity is important for our health? The authors of the textbook argue that group life is a key source of meaning, purpose, and direction. So, for example, think of uh, think about belonging to a company. Company is a group, and by belonging to that group, you would have meaning or purpose and direction. So you your behaviors as a member of that company must have a purpose, right? Maybe maximize income or profit. And then you would, by thinking that you are a member of the company, you would have a direction like how you would make profit. Not by any means, but each company has their own ways and then approach to create profits and values in society. And then that's not only company, but any group gives you a meaning, purpose, and direction. So groups make life worth living, and groups are what we live for. That's the authors of the book of the textbook argue. And this may be because we live and have evolved to live in social groups. After all, we are social animals. And then because of this evolutionary history, we need a group to have a life worth living. And we need a, group to live by. So group identity and social identification makes group-based interaction purposeful and meaningful. Social interaction is important for the sense of self, and the clear sense of self is related to better well-being. So by interacting with your group members, you come to understand who you are. This is because social identity helps you how you define yourself. By knowing what kind of abilities, what kind of qualities, what kind of attributes you share with your group members, you come to realize that what kind of qualities, attributes, and abilities or quality attributes you have. And then by knowing what kind of those qualities you have, you come to know who you are. You can be sure how you can define yourself. And such clear sense of who you are, the clear sense of self, is related to better well-being. By knowing who you are, you feel confident, you feel more comfortable about yourself, and that contributes to better well-being. And throughout this chapter, I will introduce some hypotheses. And the authors argue that the most important hypothesis of this book is this one. Because it is the basis for meaningful group life, social identity is central to both good and ill health. So when social identity or when a group gives you something positive to your life, then you will experience good health. But when the group gives you something negative, then you may experience ill health. Okay, so this you know hypothesis or maybe the discussion that I have been presenting so far, maybe a bit abstract or even ambiguous. So the textbooks the textbook gives an example, a choir. And then you can definitely read the textbook. And then I think one thing that the textbook doesn't really say is that maybe you can contrast between singing in a group and singing by yourself, solo. And then the benefit that you may get from singing in a group and sing by yourself is that you can have trust with your members, and you can have support from your members, and then you can share the enjoyment of singing with your group members. And then all these things can be possible because you know that you had the knowledge that you are a member of group, and because the group has a purpose to sing together, purpose to sing together well. And that kind of purpose you have through belonging to that group gives you a sense of meaning and support and meaning, purpose, and direction. Okay. So here is another example that I come up by myself. So think about basketball team, and then you may define yourself and the others as a member of team A or B. So let's say that you're a member of a team A, okay? And you would pass the ball to Tom or Bob just based on their personal identities. Let's say Bob is taller than Tom. So should you pass the ball to Bob? Maybe not, because Bob may be a member of Team B, right? So you should pass the ball to a teammate. Even if Tom is smaller than Bob, you still should pass the ball to Tom. And then that kind of decision can be made if you have an idea of social identity. Okay? And then you would make a shout to your or our goal instead of their goal. And this gives a purpose or direction. And then you can contribute to winning the game and benefit from it to the extent that you define yourself as a member of the team. So the extent that you define yourself as a member of a group is called social identification. And to the extent that you strongly identify with that group, the benefit you can gain from, for example, winning the game is different. The more you like the group, the more you strongly identify with the group, your joy of winning the game is bigger, right? I guess you can easily imagine how it's the case. And there are tons of studies supporting this idea. So here is a second hypothesis. A person will generally experience the health-related benefits or cost of a given group membership only to the extent that they identify with that group. So I said that when the group gives something positive, you may experience better well-being. And then when a group gives something negative to you, you will experience poor well-being. Okay? But that's only to the extent that you identify with a group, to the extent your your identification with that group. So the more you think you are a member of the group, uh, the that something group gives has more impact on your life. If you strongly identify with a group, the positivity that groups gives you has stronger impact on your well-being. And if you only weakly identify with a group, then even if that group gives you something negative, that its impact on your well-being is limited. Okay. So social identity is really the knowledge of your belonging to a group, whereas social identification is the extent how you feel that you are a member of group and how much emotional and value significance you put on that group. Okay. And through talking this kind of topic, you might feel that okay, maybe I have to think myself. I I have to always think that I am a member of a group to be healthy. But this is not true. So there is a research showing that it's not really frequency of contact with your group members, but the strengths of identification. What matters for health is not the frequency of one's contact with members of groups. So even if you do not always be in contact with your group members, if you strongly feel important, if you strongly feel that your group is important to you, then you can enjoy the benefits of the social identity. What matters for health is rather the degree of one's identification with the groups. And here is a direct link from the researcher Sani and his colleagues. Group identification affords a sense of structure and meaning, and that it constitutes a precondition for positive social relationships based on trust, support, and respect. As a consequence, group identification is believed to pave the way for positive mental states and health. So, to the extent you have a strong group identification, you can trust your group members more and you can have support from them more, and then you will enjoy the respect from them. And then you would also respect them as well. And then because of those trust, support, and respect, you are more likely to experience better health and better mental states. So in this sense, group identification is can give you these positive benefits. Okay. So you might want to think of groups you truly and strongly feel that you are a member of them, despite the fact that you meet them only once in a year or even years. So maybe you can think of a group of friends uh, at home, and then you may meet them only once a year or maybe once in a few years. But still, the group is may be so important for you, and then having such group and then having a strong identification with that group helps you to be healthier and then enjoy better well-being. So you can be alone. That's totally fine, but belong to a group. And belonging to a group does not contradict with being alone. It's really in your mind. If you feel that you have a strong identification with a group and even strong identification with groups, then you are ready to enjoy better well-being and then experience better health, experience healthier life. Okay. So in sum, if social identities make group life possible, so as I explained with an example basketball team, if social identities make group life possible, and if group life has profound implications for group good and bad health, then you may want to know what leads to social identity and social identification. What can help you to develop social identity and then strengthen your social identification? And then you also want to know how or what their consequences are, how they may influence what, you know. And there are tons of research focusing on these 2 points. But to answer these questions, uh, you need to know more about social identity approach. Okay, so you will need to understand uh, in social identity approach, basically there are two theories. One is social identity theory, and the other is self-categorization theory. So through understanding these theories better, you will understand how you may strengthen your social identification and how your social identification may influence your behavior, cognition, and emotions, and then how such psychology may affect your health. Okay, so in the following videos and the lectures, I will explain what social identity theory and self-categorization theory.